and welcome to another GMLS update on earthquakes. What we're seeing here before us is the earthquakes of 3 magnitude and above between the 24th and 26th of March. I did make a prediction in the last video that there was going to be an earthquake up by Mexico around the 6-pointer, and also in South Japan, I think it was around that sort of area there. The difference, it's very difficult when you're trying to dowse all these lines to try and getting over the crossing over points of their energies as they vibrate across the planet, and sometimes we just don't see things coming in. It's very difficult to connect them with the solar weather as well, which is something I definitely need to do, and I'm gradually getting my head around it. But the big thing that changed the situation, we had a lot of earthquakes in South America in this period. There was a total of 87 earthquakes in these 2 days at 3 magnitude and above, and 64 of them were actually situated in the Americas. That's the South America, North America, Alaska, and also I've counted in the Caribbean. Now that's 73% of the earthquakes in this picture that you're actually looking at the moment. And here with these lines, you can see that the red line is very dominant. And also on the other side, you've got the classic fight between the yellow and the blue. The blue line seems to be getting a little bit back on because it's bringing some stuff into through into Turkey and also into Greece, and a lot of drop down into the Fiji sections. But in this crossover point, you can see that the way that the yellow line is dragged away, dragging the energy away from the blue line. And you can also see this in the crossing point in the Caribbean, where the earthquakes go out, directly to the crossing point of the yellow and the blue line. The rest of the board is clear. There's nothing going on in Europe. There's nothing going on in Africa. There's nothing on the mid-Atlantic ridges. So these transfer points have actually done, and now we're going to see the energy gradually even itself out over the coming days, and which it has been doing over since the 26th and 28th. So there is a real calming of the seasons, as suspicious observers has helped us to understand through the NASA scientists. And I've been saying it for years as well when I was on the BBC back in the UK, about that there is a transfer of earthquakes from the northern to hemisphere, etc., depending on the time of year. Here we can see the spreading out and the evening out of the earthquakes, and this is between, same thing, 3 magnitude and up, between the 26th and 28th. And all of a sudden we can start seeing that there's a break off of these earthquakes coming across the Mediterranean. You can see as well that there's less within the Caribbean. The mid-Atlantic ridge is still open, but there seems to be an increasing or steady dotted amount that we will see in Asia. In this period, there was a total of 78 earthquakes, and 41 of them was in the Americas. Now that works out as 52%. So we're working into a sort of harmony of the energies, and you'll see this in the weather. The weathers will start calming down. They will be a little bit less erratic. You'll get pinpoints and extreme weathers still, simply because of the way the sun is working. I think we're gradually working into the shutdown total of the sun, as I've said already. I think it's going to come this year, where I think sunspots will disappear from the surface of the sun. You will get a few, but I think they will be hitting quite literally the equator of the sun, because the sun will go into, I think he's putting the gears into neutral. So let's just have a look at the line system, the GMLS system. Okay, so we've still got this crossing our point between the yellow and the blue line. The yellow line is getting a bit of action going on, funnily enough, where the Malaysian flight came down, which we will talk about in a minute because there's been a few updates on that. South American line. It's a little bit, you can see the earthquakes are covered exactly by the red line in South America, but there has been quite a few. But the noticeable difference is the continuing of the opening up of the Alaskan ridge, allowing the energy to flow through rather than letting it to jolt and stop and start, which creates the larger earthquakes. Which I didn't see in the predictions of the last one, but we can start seeing that the light blue line is starting to come into play, putting a little bit more sort of pressure on the red line, so bringing up the earthquakes in Europe and the Mediterranean. This will reduce the earthquakes going off in the red line. So I think over the next few days, you're going to look at a level of earthquakes that are going to drop to, having major ones around about sort of 4 or 5. This all depends on what the sun's doing, but nothing. She's going into purr mode at the moment, like any good cat would do in springtime in the sunshine after a long winter. And I think everybody's had a long winter, and America should see themselves coming out of that. I would have thought in the next sort of like 2 or 3 days. And you will start building up the hurricane seasons down in, I think it's in South America. It should be kicking off pretty much now. So the typhoon system kicking off now. Earthquakes a little bit late, a little bit early on the season, according to the hurricanes or the typhoons in the southern hemispheres, because they haven't really arrived yet. I'm not sure they actually will arrive, looking at this energy, the way things are going. We just have to obviously look at what's been going on the sun. So that's pretty much the update for the moment. Sorry about that prediction that went completely skew. Don't worry about getting it wrong, just worry about not getting involved, as I say. So, as we observe this over time, I think you're going to start to understand the ebb and flow of these earthquakes and the gradual pole shift that we're actually going through, which is the video I'm working on at the moment to try and get out as in a most comprehensive form as I can. So it's a good bit of bite of information for you guys. Quick word on the Malaysian flight. I don't know if you guys watched it, but I said on my update that the flight would be around about there. They've been searching. Flight would be around about north or east of up on west of Australia, of the northern tip of that squared off section of south of Australia, and I said that's where they were going to find it. Funnily enough, that they did actually change where they do their research at the moment, and they've been now saying that it is a little bit further north, exactly to where I was saying. And that's the energies that happened along with a lot of the earthquakes at that particular time. And I think it was because of the vortex that I was talking about in that first video, Malaysian Poleshift. And I think that's now sort of like any sink that's got too much stuff going through it. It blocks up and the energy retrieves or finds its harmony. So I will be doing, I've got workshops, I'm giving workshops this weekend, and also doing conferences, and I've got a week of healing. That's down in the Mediterranean for this week coming, so I'm pretty busy, but I will be trying to put out a Universal Energy News this week, which will try and put everything together, the Malaysian flights, the earthquakes, the weather, human behaviour, and start getting more and more into the idea of using this energy, through meditation or dance or ever, those sort of activities. So, in the meantime, I'll speak to you all soon. Take care. Love from me to you and your crew.